And this episode is going to be completely unlike anything I've ever had before because we are going to be talking about revolutionizing racehorse selection. And for those of us out there who don't know much about the topic, we have heard of the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness. I had to look up what the heck the Preakness was. And it turned out that it was, I guess, the name of a horse a long time ago. And then they ended up naming the race after that. But before we get into the history, I'm just curious how somebody even gets started in the horse racing industry. Because to me, that sounds like a generational thing. It doesn't, you don't just fall into it. So, how did you get into it?
Well, how did I get into it? I wasn't born into it. I didn't know any.
Okay,
Uh,
interesting.
I did, and I took a ride one day in May when I was 27 years old at a rental stable on a blind date, and I fell in love with the horse instead of the girl. And so I started taking lessons, and I really got into it. I just loved it, and I decided, and I wrote my thesis on for I was in I was in the joint program in law school and business school, so they didn't even have one because I got into both, did them both at the same time. And they told me, well, you'll probably get a divorce or a nervous breakdown, but you can do it if you want. I wasn't married. Anyway, I was in the middle of, so I decided I would do my project on the horses. I got to the senior year late, like March, and my thesis advisor had to be something in economics, business, and in law. And my senior advisor was Archibald Cox, fresh from the Nixon Midnight Massacre,
Huh,
and all that stuff. His office was in the stacks and deep in the
interesting.
library, which is just piles of books and shelves and everything, and a desk in a corner. And I sat there. I had to have a meeting about my thesis, and he said, "Well, how's it going?" And I, kind of looked down, so he figured it was not good. And he said, "Well, what are you interested in?" I thought he was going to throw me out. And he said, "What are you interested in?" I said, looked down again and said horses, and I thought that'll be it, because by then I was full-fledged, obsessed, taking lessons.
Man, it sounds like you just threw a dart at the wall and whatever it landed on is what you picked. I happened to go to a university that was an equine university, Delaware Valley University. It was really big on horses. So I saw all the equine majors there and all the things that they dealt with. But more recently, I was really, I don't know what made me want to look up horse racing. And I guess maybe the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, something was going on, Triple Crown, whatever. And I was curious, why are thoroughbreds so sought after, such a big kind of business